Hello there, good morning to you. This is Kakaki Social. I'm Onanuga Obozeghie. Thank you so much for joining us today. The Nigerian government has rejected the European Union's final report on the 2023 general elections. And it says that in a statement Sunday by the special advisor to the president on special duties, communications and strategy, Dele Aleke, the EU depended on biased, uninformed social media commentaries and the less than 50 observers that monitored the election on their behalf. The EU mission had in a report published on Tuesday, June 27, said that public confidence in INEC was severely damaged during the February 25 polls due to its operational failures and lack of transparency, which signals a need for further legal and operational reforms to enhance inclusiveness and accountability in Nigeria's electoral umpire. This report is what the presidency is rejecting, asking the EU to let Nigerians breathe. Reacting to this is Bayo Onanuga, who says, how do you expect beneficiary of the rigged election to accept EU stand? Whether they accept or not, the reality is on the ground, and the whole world is aware that INEC rigged the election in favor of Tinubu. Also reacting to this is Aqualife, who says no one expects them to accept it. The world saw what happened. All eyes are now on the judiciary. They have this one time to prove to the world that they are not in bed with corrupt government. But responding also to that is Adamu Garuba from the APC, who says a case in point is the EU Election Observer Report on the just concluded 2023 general election, an electronically driven election that is, to me, far beyond American and EU standards, yet they called it fraudulent. The colonialist, racist mindset of the Western nations would not let them imagine Africans to have a decisive, courageous and bold leadership capable of remarkable transformation, such as President Tinubu. Well, Garuba Shehu clearly saying that the election in Nigeria was better than what happens in America. Let's begin our next story with this video of burnings in France. One of the aides of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Bayo Onanuga, and some others have called on security agencies to call entertainer Charlie Boy to order for allegedly inciting Nigerian youths. That video is from France, the aftermath of the killing of a 70-year-old boy who was shot dead by the police at point-blank range for allegedly violating several road rules. That's the cause of the current unrest in France, by the way. And Charlie Boy shared that video over the weekend with this caption where he says, this one by my right, left, okay, my left, yes. He shared it first, this very first one here, and he says, this isn't Syria, Iraq or Afghanistan. This is France, where 9% of population has brought down entire cities. Karma for Africa, he asks. He said, I'm waiting on exceptional Nigerian youths to bring down a criminal enterprise. Well, he has deleted this first one I read. He modified it to this second one. Of course, he did not edit it. He actually deleted it. Remember that if you edit on Twitter as someone who has a blue tick, I'm not sure he has anymore, it will tell your fans or whoever is visiting the tweet that it was edited, and then when you click on that, it takes you back to the original tweet. So he deleted this one where he said, I'm waiting on the exceptional Nigerian youth to bring down a criminal enterprise, to this one where he says, I'm waiting on the exceptional Nigerian youth to reject a system that let them down. Una destiny, they una hand. So apparently this one was being debated online. Maybe he realized, or he was called to himself too, and then he tweeted that in exchange for this first one. So let's see. Responding to this, Bayo Onanuga says, highly irresponsible for a 73-year-old man, Charlie Boy, asking exceptional Nigerian youths to burn down the criminal enterprise, which he called Nigeria. The security agencies should call this old man to order immediately. But responding to Bayo is Jackson, who says, I didn't see you, a 66-year-old man, tweeting like this when Asari Dokubo was brandishing an AK-47 and threatening Igbos. But because Charlie Boy's message affects your Agbado, you are quick to tweet. Ekareo striker Yoruba Rino FC. But let's also see in reaction to Area Father One, who is Charlie Boy on Twitter, Sir Bobby says, will you lead us? While at it, kindly invite your children and grandchildren too. That's if we must do what you're asking us to do. But Jake's also responding to Bayo Onanuga. He says, you are still working free, Onanuga. The difference here is that Charlie Boy wants the youth to stand up against the corrupt government. But you, Onanuga, on the other hand, doesn't want the Igbos to have a say on how they are governed because they are from a different tribe. If you wonder what Jackson is talking about in the previous slide, this was what he said during the election by Onanuga. He says, let 2023 be the last time of Igbo interference in Lagos politics. Let there be no repeat in 2027. Lagos is like Anambra, Imo, any Nigerian state. It is not no man's land, not federal capital territory. It is Yoruba land. Mind your business. And then he attached that picture of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi. And finally, on this, Charlie Boy is back to say, because I charged the youth of Nigeria to take their destiny in their hand and bring down a criminal enterprise, some mumu persons can't they form gangster on top my post, their father. Away from that now, a motorist identified as Success Ehimare on Friday was crushed and dragged by a moving Sienna vehicle occupied and driven by some police officers on routine stop and search duty in Ekpoma, Essen West local government area of Edo State. It was gathered that the police intercepted the driver with an unregistered Lexus car and demanded for the vehicle particulars. According to a statement by the State Police Command, Ehimare became aggressive and refused to oblige the requests of the officers, but rather he attacked them, inflicted injuries on the policemen, and destroyed the police vehicle. That's what the police is saying was the cause of that. He was for that reason arrested, handcuffed, before he laid in front of the Sienna in protest to that. Well, he was taken to Ira Specialist Hospital for treatment, where he's gradually coming back on his feet. Meanwhile, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has condemned the action by his men, saying that they have been arrested and would be reporting to Abuja today, Monday, as the present leadership of the Nigeria Police Force will not condone such an act of unprofessionalism and illegality. So it's Monday already, so let's see the development, what will happen at the force headquarters. But reacting to this is Ebere Anosike, who says, we expect them to be charged for attempted murder, not a lesser offense, which would be mere slap in the wrist. And also, they need to be charged to a federal high court, not magistrate court, that may lack jurisdiction to try murder cases. Another user says, this Ekpoma matter, but why will you even lay down on the floor, knowing fully well those men are not well trained? Now see. And another suggestion is coming from IPC Justice, who says, Nigeria Police Force is in need of restructuring. The current system, where the police force is centralized at the federal level, is a military regime concept and is not working. The police are not able to effectively police the country, and they are often corrupt and unprofessional. This is quite another call for state policing. Well, lastly on this, Sam Williams says, I still they wonder how that officer left that place in one piece. Like today is his lucky day, but motorists should desist from this attitude of lying down under their vehicles when officers are trying to impound their vehicles for traffic offenses. It's becoming a norm in Edo State. And to our final story today, a TWIP, 99% oppressed, with the handle PDOM Media, is accusing the United Nations High Commission for Refugees and some non-governmental organizations in Nigeria of funding and aiding terrorism in the country. The user is asking the Nigerian government to investigate the activities of the international organization in the northeast if Boko Haram must be defeated. And he wrote quite a lot, but let's read a part of it. 99% oppressed says, For the Nigerian government to tackle Boko Haram insurgency, NGOs and international aid organizations operating in the northeast must be investigated. That blue house in Maiduguri should be closed down as soon as possible. These weapons are given to Boko Haram by UNHCR. And then he tagged them to the story. He continued to say that the activities of United Nations High Commission for Refugees must be investigated in Nigeria. They kept supplying weapons to Boko Haram insurgents in exchange for protection and access to Boko Haram-controlled territories. They like it as more Nigerians are being sent into refugee camps, which is creating more jobs and bringing better funding for the agency. They pay their staff and aid workers humongous salaries and allowances, and they can do anything to keep their jobs and operations in Nigeria for as long as the insurgency can go. Final tweet to that, it says, Boko Haram kept attacking soldiers and innocent Nigerians, burning down villages and overrunning them, but you will hardly hear or see Boko Haram insurgents attack UNHCR workers or overrun their base. Even when there is ambush, nothing happens to them, but soldiers are killed. Strong allegations here, and maybe some NGOs and even the UNHRC will have to come and answer to this. Effiong John says, I will not doubt this report one bit. As someone who has once worked for an NGO, I know very well that some NGOs will do anything possible to keep themselves in business, even at the expense of the community they serve. This was why I quit from NGO I worked for in 2020. But responding also is this user who says, I have to say this is false. This whole write-up is wrong and misinformation. But more tweets coming from Flame. It says, I am not surprised though. Ask APC government to release the names of Boko Haram sponsors given to them by foreign country the other time. Abacha said it all. Hashtag all eyes on the judiciary. Now, what did Abacha say that he is referring to? Now, General Sani Abacha said that any insurgency that lasts more than 24 hours, a government official has a hand in this. Let's see what happens. Well, just to mention that, well, he hasn't really provided evidences. Maybe he's waiting for the UN to respond, and then he will go further. But what he has right now is this picture where the ammunitions are laid on this cloth by UNHCR. I mean, anybody could have access to any material, right? Maybe just like campaign material. So this would not really stand, but this is what he's showing right now. So that's everything on Kakaki Social this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of it. You may want to reach out to us using our WhatsApp number on 0811543670. Good morning, Adora. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.